Welcome to another edition of Hothead Mailbag. Hothead Mailbag. I'm Joel DeYoung. I'm the producer on Swarm at Hothead Games.
And I'm Pete Lowe, lead designer on Swarm.
We have here actual questions from actual gaming journalists about Swarm.
European gaming journalists.
Yes. Today the questions are coming from D+PAD magazine. Let's just jump right in.
Okay. I'll ask the first question.
Please do.
What was the inspiration behind Swarm?
Well, we get a lot of comparisons to other games like Lemmings and Pikmin and Overlord and a bunch of others. Really, we didn't set out to make something A meets B sort of thing. Swarm was built on some AI research done by Dr. Mike Hayward, who's our resident PhD here at Hothead. And his PhD research was in artificial life and how little autonomous robots or agents or whatever could cooperate with each other to achieve a task. Well, we were trying to enter a indie developer contest back in 2006, and Mike put this idea forward to create a cute little character called the Swarmite. He's pudgy, he's blue, he's a little stupid, and he's adorable.
He's
very stupid. And make them into a swarm and put them in a very, very dangerous world where they die all the time. That was basically the pitch, and we built a prototype and did very well in that contest that we submitted it in, but spent a few years after that working through the idea, playing around with the whole idea of controlling 50 Swarmites at once. And every time either people played the game or watched other people play the game, they really loved it. We knew we had something cool in our hands.
That's really what got it going, though, was the idea of directly controlling all 50 characters at the same time is when we really started running with this idea, and that's what inspired us to start creating what you now see.
That's right, and that kind of relates to the second question, actually, which is what was the biggest challenge in designing a game with a whole swarm of lead characters?
Right, so when you're directly controlling 50 characters at once, you can imagine the difficulty in determining where to look, like where the camera is supposed to be looking at any given time, and where your control is. Because you're not in control of one character, you're in control of all 50. And because these guys die a lot and there's lots of explosions and impulses in the world, these guys get scattered all over the place all the time, and guys are dying all the time. So it's really, really complicated to determine where that control point needs to be and where the camera needs to be looking at any given time so that it always feels smooth, so that it feels tight, and that the precision is still there.
And the player's not frustrated by feeling out of control.
And that was a lot of work, a lot of hard work for us to do, but we've nailed it, and it's...
We think people really like it.
Yeah, it's a unique experience.
Right on.
Next question. The trailer shows the Swarmites being killed in all manner of horrific ways. Were there any death sequences that had to be cut for being too grisly?
Well, the answer is no, actually. We, in fact, I think early on, our lead animator, he's a pretty nice guy. He animated these guys dying, and it was pretty, a lot of antics, sort of more cartoony, and I was right around the time, I believe, that Limbo came out. And so I think you were talking to him and showed him Limbo and said, see how bleak this is? It should be even more bleak. And so he really went over the top with a lot of the death animations. And then we loved them so much, we decided to put a whole bunch of them in the main menu. So right when you start the game, Swarmite walks on screen and you just press a button and you get to watch him die in a horrific way.
Yeah, the death needed to be kind of bleak and horrific to provide that contrast, because it's such a cute, kind of squishy looking character. We really wanted to create that contrast between, hey, isn't this guy sweet, to, oh my god, look at how he's died.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is true. Oh no, I'll ask this question.
Okay, sounds good.
Hothead's releases thus far have had a large focus on humor. What's more important to you, humor or gameplay? Would you ever sacrifice the latter for the former?
Well, absolutely not. I mean, our games are all about the gameplay. It's all about our people who play them having fun, and we really put a focus on that. People have asked us all the time, like, our games are funny, and not many companies do that, and so it must be really hard. We thought about it, and we didn't really set out to make funny games. Like, said, we're going to start the company, we're only going to make funny games. It's just sort of something that tends to happen because of who we are, and there's a lot of joking that goes on here at the company, and we have a lot of fun. I think if we tried to make a serious game, we wouldn't really be able to do it. So that's kind of a consequence of the team. But gameplay and fun, I mean, we put the games in front of new playtesters every week, fresh eyes, and because you get really close to what you're making, and if they're not having fun, then we keep iterating. And
the real point is that if the game is frustrating to play, you're never going to get to the humor that's in there anyway, because you're just going to stop playing it.
That's right. Yeah. That's why people play games to have fun, so we really keep the focus on that. All right, last question here is, you are being attacked by a swarm of bees. What do you do? A strange one.
Well, you run. I know this because my uncle is really allergic to bee stings.
Really?
It's a weird question, but it kind of hits home. It does. Yeah, my Uncle David is allergic to bee stings. He carries an EpiPen around with him.
Has he been stung?
And he's been stung, and he had to use it. Otherwise, he would have died.
Your throat will swell shut and stuff.
Yeah, you stop breathing.
Serious stuff.
Anyway,
yeah.
he says you run.
I suppose you could jump in the water, too.
If there's water nearby. But apparently bees have like a range that they're willing to chase you. And once you get out of that range, they'll stop chasing.
Wow. Yeah. Never knew. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's about it for the questions from D+PAD Magazine today. You can always stay up to date on the latest about Swarm at www.swarmites.com. The game's going to be coming out very, very soon on Xbox Live Arcade and PlayStation Network. And you can also stay tuned to all the latest gaming news at dpadmagazine.com. We'll see you later.